Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Hanson making another little video. This is particularly for people who are not in Art Foundations class on either September 29th if you have me for 4th period or September 30th if you have me for 6th period. So today I will be showing you, you should already have watched a few other videos that are in this module. So you'll go to the proportion, person, pattern module, and the very first one of those videos was for class on 922 and 923 that teaches you about using the standard measurements and also how to use your pencil to check angles and verticals and horizontals. Watch that first, then you want to see both of the videos that were posted for 924 or 928, and those lay out what our project is and give you all the requirements plus examples. And then there's also a video which explains how to select an image from the internet. You can shoot your own picture, but if you select an image from the internet, that other video is going to help you. So by this time, you should have already printed out your image. So I'm not going to go into detail here about how I got this far, because you'll see that in the other videos. So the things that you're going to need for this are your image. This is an 8.5 by 11 printout. You're going to need a piece of tracing paper. If you don't have any of these materials, I'm trying to figure out how I can get these to my quarantine students, whether it's bringing them to your house myself. I don't know. I'm working on that. Also, you will need a ruler, you'll need a pencil, and you definitely need an eraser. And then I also need to get to you your, this is an 11 by 17 sheet. I don't even know if I can get the whole thing on there. 11 by 17 sheet that you'll be doing your initial sketch on, and you'll also need some masking tape. Okay, so we'll deal with whether or not you have those materials later, but let me just show you this and keep this video as short as I can. So you're going to work on a surface, a board, or on a table. You want to tape these corners down so things don't slide around on you. Doesn't take much. Then you're going to take your tracing paper or fodder. They also call this fodder paper. You can buy it in a big roll. I use this all the time, not to trace, but to help me draw. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So what we're going to do is we are going to select some basic shapes. And if you were in class when we were drawing with basic shapes, this will look very familiar. The first step, however, when drawing this, is to do what we call boxing in. So I'm going to lay my ruler right at the edges of where my image, I want his feet to touch this line, and I want his arm. Now mine is cropped in close enough that I really don't have to do this, but sometimes you'll have a bunch of white space around your image, and it's going to make it easier to do what we call boxing in. Why? Because now you can, here's a good example. The skate or the ski, there's this gap. I'm just going to draw, touching right up to that ski boot. Okay? So the reason I've done that is now I have these very clear negative spaces, and as we proceed, you'll see that that's going to be helpful. So now we're going to draw geometric shapes on top of our image. Geometric shapes meaning shapes that are like ovals, rectangles, squares, triangles, anything that can be measured exactly using geometry. All other shapes, which are curvy, swervy, and harder to measure, are called organic shapes. We want to leave organic shapes alone. So this is an organic shape right here, and we're not just going to trace it. We're going to find some geometric shapes that remind us of these organic shapes. So I'm going to start with my oval. I often use this as my standard unit of measurement, and it's okay to go past this a little bit. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do after I use my oval is I'm going to draw a line from shoulder to shoulder. This is going to help give my figure a nice amount of movement when I draw. So the other thing you want to do is imagine where the hips are. This guy, it's a little bit hard to tell, but I feel like they're about like that. Okay? Now, I'm just doing guesses at this point. but it's going to help me. I have to get something down on the paper. The next thing I'm going to do is just try to find some basic geometric shapes that help me just block in this figure. Now I'm not thinking arm, leg, chest. No, I'm looking for shapes, and I'm keeping them on the inside of these contour lines. So I'm not tracing. I'm going to go ahead and see sort of a square. Well, I don't know what it's called when your square isn't exactly, has different sizes, but I know there's a geometric term for it. I've just been out of geometry class for too long. So this is the first image, the first geometric shape that I have identified. Next, I'm going to go for this sort of triangle right here. And you can see that this is not exact. This is a hint, right? I'm building a structure underneath this form. Again, I see a triangle here. They may overlap if you want them to, but they don't have to. Now, the reason that I like negative spaces is that, like right here, I'm just going to put an oval right here. Because as I'm transferring and drawing just these shapes, later it's going to give me an excellent hint to know where these shapes lie. I'm just going to do another rectangle. There's no right way to do this, but I mean, someone else might have seen an oval or a circle, but that's what I'm going with. Now here, hesitate, try not to think of this as a thigh. Just look at the shape. Sometimes I squint at it. And I'm actually going to give myself sort of an oval here. Okay? And then here, you can't really see, but there is, I'm going to put an oval for the hand, but I'm trying not to say hand. And then here I'm going to put a triangle. And right here, instead of going with this shape right now, I'm going to do a long oval that just gives me the idea of what this form is doing. Okay? And then I'm going to put a triangle there. So you don't have to do every single shape that you see. You're looking for shapes that will help you to transfer and draw on another piece of paper. So I could put more shapes in, but I think I am just going to do right here, I'm just going to do a box. And I'll show you why I think that box is important later. Okay, so simple. There's no absolute right or wrong way. I don't have to do every shape that I see. I'm just looking for enough to get myself started. So next what you're going to do is peel this off. Okay, then you're going to peel the tape off of this. I'm going to flip this over, so it's just a white piece of paper. And now we are going to, like we've done in other times in our class, we are going to turn this so that we don't get freaked out about it being an image of a body. I want you to forget entirely that this is a person's body, and I want you to say oval, rectangle, funky square, triangle, oval. And all the questions in your mind should be, oh, this should not be about, this is the arm, this is the leg. You're just looking at these shapes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over, I hope I can do this well because I don't have quite enough space. I'm going to start drawing on this piece of paper. This is not your final piece of paper. This is the paper where you're going to kind of make a mess and do a sketch and get these proportions right. When you have your final drawing ready, I will show you how to transfer this to your final paper, and you'll make a beautiful piece of artwork. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to look really familiar. I'm going to use this standard unit of measurement right here, this oval, and I'm going to say, oh, look, this rectangle and this oval are about the same. So let me give myself a little bit of a format. And I'm going to try to match, just eyeball what I see here, but I'm making it much larger. So let's just say this is the corner. I'm going to start in this one corner. Okay, so now I have a corner, and I know that my oval and my rectangle are about the same measurement. So I want it to be a little larger, because remember, this has to take up 3/4 of this paper. So I'm going to enlarge it quite a bit and say this is this. And I'm going to squint at it. Squinting really helps. I can see that I need to make some adjustments already. All right, I'm going to go with that. Now I know that this oval and this rectangle are about the same. See that? So I'm going to come over here, and I can see that my oval is a little bit tilted. I'm going to make a little tick mark. And I'm also looking at this little negative space right here, and I'm just going to lay this in. Of course, I'm sort of guessing. I'm not perfect. Okay? This is just like what we did in a previous video, except now we're doing it on our scratch paper. Okay, now I'm going to check out the angle right here. I want to try to get that right. The way I do it, lay my pencil at a horizontal and then move it until it meets that angle. Take a look at that angle, memorize it, do the same thing over here. It's about like this. I can also look at where does this in relation to this. I'm already off somewhere, but I'm not discouraged because it's all about correcting mistakes. Okay? And now I can look at this angle. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to tilt it along this angle. So about like that. And I'm going to try to recreate that in my drawing. So you can't see my head, but I am looking back and forth, okay? Now I'm going to check this triangle. I'm also going to look at this negative shape. Look, it has this little spiky thing and this little thing. I feel like this is going to be a little closer here. My triangle is at the same basic angle as this, and I'm looking at that angle. So I'm doing a lot of angle checking, but there's another way I could do it to double check my work. I can also see what is this distance compared to my standard unit. So here's my standard unit. Lay it here. It's about 3/4. Oh, sorry, let me check this one. Oh yeah, I'm off because this one, it's just shy of 1 standard unit. So actually, something's off and my triangle needs to be down here. And I'm just going to keep going in this way. I'm taking measurements, I'm checking angles, and I'm also spending a lot of time looking, like actually look at your drawing and analyze it. Like I want to know how far down this line does this triangle come, right? So let's find out. Oh, look, it's almost a perfect standard unit. So let's measure here to here. Oh, see, I'm off again. Really, I'm trying to make that way too small. So you can see how many corrections I've already had to make. But now that I'm standing back, I can see like this is actually looking pretty close to that. Okay, let's try how far to the end of this line. So 1 standard unit. It's about 3/4. So that line comes to about there. So in that way, you're going to keep transferring all of these shapes. So that is step number 1. I'm going to keep this video short, and maybe I will post later what I come up with. Sometimes I just really try to rough in just using my eyeballs, and then I'll go back and I will check all of my measurements. And when I'm done, I will post a picture of how this will look. So step 1, convert this into these shapes with an overlay. Get rid of the picture, turn this upside down, start from a corner, and start transferring this. This should be larger than this, okay? So I'm going to end this video. By the end of this class period, you should have been able to recreate this drawing at a larger size onto this paper. Okay? So you can do this. I have faith in you. Just think of it as a mystery that you're trying to solve. You have to have clues to, how to get this thing to look right. You can do it. All right, cheers. See you later.